Hello my friends, welcome once again to the Hidden Island, a smooth jazz cruise complete with cool tunes, big news, and big sprues. And folks, I believe that there's going to be a second major time skip in One Piece just before the final saga. I'll even go further to say that Oda may have been foreshadowing this as far as 900 chapters ago. Now, I know that there are many passionate, opinionated people in the One Piece community who are about to click off this video already, but hear me out. I'm not here to convince you that there is going to be another time skip. I'm just going to present some reasons why I personally think it's on the table, and ultimately I'll let you guys come to your own conclusion. I acknowledge how speculative this whole thing is. First, let me clarify the what, when, where, and why of the subject in question. To begin with, I don't think a time skip has to be a long period of time, nor does it have to provide a dramatic shift in the setting. In fact, it can be something as short as a month, just for the purpose of preparing for some larger event like what we got before the raid on Onigashima. In the case of this upcoming supposed time skip, I don't think it'll be longer than a year. Okay, so let's say we jump forward a year in the story. When and where will this happen? Well, I think it would help for me to lay out where I think the story is going from here first. Currently, we have a war occurring in Wano. I think that each act of One Piece is going to be punctuated by a major war, and we're currently on the second one, after which the crew will acquire their third road poneglyph. From there, I think we'll have a shorter arc and a brief respite in Elbaf where the last poneglyph is likely to be located, and with all four in the Straw Hat's possession, they'll beeline it straight for Laugh Tale. After Luffy becomes Pirate King, it's anybody's guess, but my money is on either Marijoa or God Valley where the final war of the story will occur. Nothing too original in these guesses here, I know, but with that roadmap laid out, I think the time skip will happen right after Wano when the crew arrives on Elbaf and acquires the last road poneglyph. But why would they stop for a year when they get to Elbaf? Knowing Luffy, he'll be raring to gun it right for the One Piece the moment he has the opportunity. What would stop him from doing that? Well, with everything going on at Reverie currently and the fate of Sabo hanging in the wind, I can think of one big, blonde reason for why Luffy wouldn't just rush to the end unprepared. Allow me to paint a very presumptive, headcanon-y portrait for you. Luffy and co. take their leave from the land of samurai, sail out to the next island, and arrive on Elbaf. Elbaf, as some have predicted, linked to a good video down below, is Shanks' home territory, and now Luffy and Shanks finally reunite in the land of giants as Emperors of the Sea, as equals. In order to test how far Luffy has come with their poneglyphs on the line, they have a Davy-back fight. Straw Hats win, maybe meet Prince Loki, or maybe see Dory, Bragi, Oimo, and Kashi again, and everyone parties away and talks tales of their adventures after so many years apart. But something is wrong. Luffy is no longer isolated from the news of the world outside and the events of this past reverie. Shanks, who was actually there at the time, tells him what happened. In a failed raid on Marijoa, Sabo was killed in action. Luffy is devastated, and while he wants to finish his journey, he also wants to declare war on those who robbed him of his last remaining brother, but he's not about to just turn the ship around, not with the secrets of the world at his fingertips, and not with the key to his victory potentially awaiting him on Laugh Tale. And most definitely not with their current level of preparation. Luffy was at Marineford. He knows his enemy firsthand and how dangerous they really are. He may be headstrong and impulsive, but not stupid. He may be capable of taking on an emperor one-on-one, but to take on the entire world, the entire other two factions in the balance of power? He isn't ready. Yet. So, the Straw Hats remain on Elbaf for about a year, training with the giants, the best warriors in the world, biding their time in preparation for one last war. Would be best to do this before they reach Laugh Tale, since after they do, all eyes in the world will be on them. Maybe the Red Hair Pirates even stick around to help them before they officially become the crew of the Pirate King and make their move. Sure, it's definitely not 100% accurate, but it's a start, and there are a lot of assumptions involved, I know, but I'm doing my best with this jigsaw puzzle of pieces that Oda's been laying out since the last bit of the Yonko saga. I think one of the best parts of One Piece is the imagination it inspires in the community and all the theories and discussion that comes out of it. But what's important is that these imaginative ideas are supported by patterns and details laid out by Oda's complex and multi-layered writing, and boy are there patterns. There are patterns so prevalent, and there are nods to Marineford currently happening in Onigashima, that I just mentally can't blow it all off as coincidental. The execution platforms, the connections between Ace and Yamato, Luffy falling from the sky, and major revelations about Conqueror's Haki, just to name a few. and it goes beyond Wano through the entire story since we first got to the New World. Ultimately, I just can't help but notice the parallels in the story structure between the first and second halves of the Grand Line. And if everything else lines up, then why do so many people think it's so out of left field to believe that the second act will end parallel to the first? No, seriously, let's do a quick scan through the story parallels here. The crew gathers up for a big adventure, Luffy beats up a racist fish, Straw Hats enter one half of the Grand Line and are greeted by a giant whale. Straw Hats venture to a mysterious island, encounter Large Lizard, a pathetic joke villain, and his secret weapon that does this. Also, something directly related to the Giants, and while we're at it, they are coerced by an at first, morally ambiguous character into stopping a dangerous criminal organization from doing dangerous criminal things. Oh, and stick them in a cage with Smoker at some point. Turns out the leader of that organization is a member of the Warlords who likes long walks on the beach, talking over Den Mushi, misusing his power, ruling a sunny country from the shadows, and abusing its innocent people for his own benefit. Introduce a lawful good Marine who comes around to liking the Straw Hats by the end. Spice in a king and princess the people are tricked into hating, and boom, you got yourself a banger of an arc. At some point in the same arc, this is important, introduce Luffy's brother. This brother hands over a Vivre card and says, Luffy may be a handful, but look after him for me. Time limit. Luffy punches the Warlord through the ground, rightful king is back in power, Straw Hats sleep, and the next morning, Marines chase them out of the country. But the problem isn't over, you see. There's an even bigger enemy behind the scenes that made all this possible, and now we gotta go deal with them. But first, we gotta go up this thing. Jungle time, and an ancient race of people we didn't even know existed. On this mysterious island, here's a strangely colored poneglyph tucked away in some ancient ruins. Straw Hat goes missing, and now we have to begin a long rescue arc where we learn their tragic history, save them from an overwhelmingly powerful enemy, and destroy an entire island in the process. Luffy fights a second in command who pushes him beyond his limits and parallels himself in some way, maybe introduce a new gear. A friend sacrifices his or herself and the crew barely escapes with their lives. New bounties, cue reactions. Kobe is back. Shanks warns important person about Blackbeard. Meanwhile, an arc involving people coming back from the dead, kinda. Ryuma, invisibility, ancient giants, and not one but two crazy powerful enemies. Around this time, Charlos is being mean to mermaids. Luffy's brother makes his move in an almost overconfident fashion, followed by a sad newspaper. And then... $1,000,000 question here, guys. I'll ask you again, why would the parallels stop here? After all,
again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one.
from a writing standpoint, I don't think Oda's gonna stick Sabo and Impel down and run through the whole Ace rigmarole again. I also don't think Luffy's gonna have the opportunity to save him just to have another tragic brotherly death moment. It just doesn't fit with the story as it's currently progressing. If there's a parallel to be had here, however, it's a failed mission ultimately leading to the untimely death of Luffy's brother. Does that mean Sabo got off-screen? No, I think we'll get to see what happened at Reverie later. A lot of fans have been chomping at the bit to know what happened with Sabo, and I personally don't think this is a head-scratcher at all, at least not one worth removing my tinfoil hat over. Even taking a step back and looking at Chapter 956, big news, we can already see the reactions of various characters to what they're reading in the newspaper. I mean, come on, what else would elicit these reactions out of Sabo's friends and family? That he's been captured? Dragon would surely have the means to help there. Plus, the world government only made a big song and dance out of Ace's public execution because he was Roger's son and directly tied to the age of pirates. And Ace definitely wasn't attempting a direct assault on the Celestial Dragons either. Someone doing that would easily get hit with a kill-on-sight order. Just look at what Blackbeard had to say. He's ready to reap the rewards of this situation. Blackbeard, the guy who kills other pirates to steal their devil fruits, the same guy who tried to get his hands on the Merimero no Mi just a couple arcs ago? What does this imply for Sabo? Even if he doesn't die right there and then, Luffy finding out about his death after the fact would mirror the way that Sabo found out about Ace. Seems to me like all the pieces are coming together for another tragic end to the saga and a final I need to become stronger moment with Luffy. Except this time, Luffy won't be alone. He'll have his friends there with him. He won't just be some weakling far from Pirate King who failed to protect his brother. Now, he'll be a man on the cusp who simply never had the chance to. This time, he won't need to get stronger to protect his comrades, instead he'll need to get strong enough to end the vicious cycle altogether. He will need to train. Instead of Roscaina, Elbaf. Instead of Rayleigh, Shanks. There's just no way that the crew is coming out of Wano at their absolute peak. They still have one last step of growth left to make before they can be considered, quote, Pirate King level, if I may use a power scaling term here. So, thus we get a short time skip, some rest, some training, and ultimately the end of the second act of the story, the New World. Coming out of the time skip, we will have a crew at the peak of their abilities, ready to take on anything and everything with no brakes on the train. If Oda is telling us the truth and we're soon going to enter the final saga of One Piece, then I don't see Elbaf being some monstrous arc, especially just coming off the absolute beast that was Wano. I see Elbaf being a more reserved story, with some lore dump maybe and a short dive into Usopp's character. Unless we have some crazy twist happen, Luffy and Shanks just aren't going to have a dramatic fight in the typical sense. Thankfully, Oda conveniently took up the time and valuable page space to introduce us to a method of friendly competition between pirates. Everyone say, "Thank you, Foxy." In all seriousness, I'm really banking on the idea that the Red Hairs and the Straw Hats will have a Davy back fight over that fourth poneglyph, which, granted, is me just daydreaming, but hey, makes more sense with them than anyone else, doesn't it? Also, let's think about this for a sec. The Giants are repeatedly referred to as the strongest race in the world of One Piece. Elbaf is a land of giant warriors through and through. A perfect place for the Straw Hats to both figuratively and literally stand on the shoulders of giants in preparation for the final war of the story. I think there's a lot that the Straw Hats could take away from training there. If you haven't watched it already, check out my video on what I think Gear 5th is, but long story short, I think Luffy will use Gear 5th to turn himself completely giant. Moreover, I believe that the power of gigantification is the secret reason the Gum Gum fruit is so special, and is also the reason why Shanks stole it from the world government in the first place. With Shanks and the Giants present, and Luffy now equipped with advanced Conqueror's Haki, wouldn't this be the perfect opportunity to learn such a world-shaking, red line-breaking ability? Or how about the Ikoku Sovereignty, the special sword move we've only seen used by the Giants in Big Mom? Basically a sword, cannon, shot, slash, capable of blasting holes clean through practically anything. Seems like something that Zoro would definitely want to have in his arsenal, and I can see Zoro sparring with the Giants already. Don't even get me started on Usopp, his potential face-to-face with his father, and his whole brave warrior of the sea thing. If there's anyone that's going to get a huge level up in both combat ability and characterization, it'll be him. That observation hockey moment back in Dressrosa hasn't really had its return yet, and I get the feeling it'll be something that he has to get trained on before he can regularly tap into it. The last road poneglyph is something to bring Robin's research together and present an even bigger task as navigator for Nami, since when they get the fourth poneglyph, it'll be up to her to piece all the information together and figure out where the true final island is. So, why 1 year? Well, it comes from a couple places, but here's my logic. I think Oda has been subtly hinting at this 1 year thing in connection with Elbaf and, by extension, the last leg of the Straw Hats' adventure. Back in Little Garden, the prehistoric island where we first got introduced to the giant race and Elbaf is also first mentioned, the log pose is said to take a full year to register, with emphasis placed on this time frame. They bring it up more than a few times. Funnily enough, this happens on the second island of their journey into the Grand Line, and if all goes the way I think it will, Elbaf will be their second to last island in the New World. If that were all, though, I'd have my doubts just like you probably do, but this whole thing is kind of a recurring theme around this subject. Another small detail I've noticed is regarding Luffy's training during the first time skip, where Rayleigh only trains him for 1 year before leaving him to train all alone for 1 more. Then, there's Big Mom's backstory, where her parents drop her off on Elbaf right near the beginning of their winter season, presumably right around her 5th birthday, which is in February. There, she is eventually picked up by Mother Carmel, and spends another 10 months with her just in time for next year's winter solstice. After she goes on her rampage, Carmel soon leaves Elbaf and celebrates Linlin's 6th birthday. 1 year on Elbaf. And if that's still not enough, how about when Roger and Whitebeard meet in the Odin flashback? Roger informs Whitebeard of his discovery about the 4 road poneglyphs and says he needs Odin on his crew to go on one final journey to reach Laugh-Tale. And how long does he say he needs? 1 year. Newgate agrees, Roger goes and gathers all 4 road poneglyphs and finally reaches Laugh-Tale to become Pirate King, all within a year. It also just rounds things out to me that Ace was 20 at the time of his death and Luffy inherited his will. Since Luffy is currently 19, having him be 20 as well at the time of fulfilling that dream would be a pretty poetic way to wrap things up. Elbaf is a land of giants, a land where everything is bigger, from the people to the trees to the culture, and even the sense of time. For giants, a year there is like a week on any other island. Feel free to fight me on this, guys, but my money is on this idea. I'll say it again. 1 year on Elbaf. I'll wrap this up by addressing the most common objection I see to the idea of another time skip happening. It defeats the purpose of the first time skip. Honestly, I don't think so, and let me tell you why. The purpose of the events leading up to the first time skip was to show Luffy how powerless he was in the grand scheme of things, and how much more he has to grow in order to protect those he cares about. Despite fighting the odds at every turn, he always ended up running away by the end, and this surely isn't someone close to Pirate King just yet, no matter how much they say it. He came away from it having lost a brother, but he did inherit his final will and testament to see Luffy's dream through to the end. The Luffy we see now is the answer to all that. He's a man very capable of charging into danger, holding his own in a fight, and protecting his loved ones. Better yet, he's a man very close to actually becoming the Pirate King. Like Whitebeard had back in the day, Luffy now has his own fleet made up of thousands of men. Assuming Sabo did die, it will teach Luffy that it's not all about becoming Pirate King, that there's something much more important happening in the world at large that demands his full attention. That finding the One Piece is no longer the end of his journey, but rather a big step forward in the true goal of freeing the world from its 800-year-old prison. Because what does being Pirate King matter when someone is out there sitting on the empty throne? Likely a cause that the Revolutionary Army is fighting for, and a part of Sabo's will that Luffy will surely have to inherit as well. The Marimara no Mi might be more of a metaphor, like a flaming torch being passed from Ace to Sabo, and even onward. There are two wills and two flames, the will to succeed the Pirate King, and the will to turn the world upside down. And that rounds off another wonderful discussion for us today, ladies and gents. I will see you in a year. I'm kidding. Though I do like this schedule of bi-weekly uploads. Lets me keep the quality high without the workload getting too crazy, and I hope you've all been liking the stuff I'm putting out, since this is something I really have fun making. Big passion project of mine, actually. Anyway, I got a shorter talk already in the works for next time, so that may come fairly soon. Keep an eye out for that one. It's going to be a bit different. So, what do you guys think? Time skip or no time skip? Is Sabo still alive? Should we apologize to Foxy if the Davy back fight thing plays out? Let me know in the comments below, and please throw us a like and subscribe to keep the channel alive. Most importantly, folks, thank you once again for landing on the Hidden Island. I hope you've enjoyed the show, because we sure enjoyed putting it on. Until next time, have a beautiful day, a pleasant night, and a wonderful romance dawn.